what else we watched a video that I thought was interesting. Just two Americas at the very least, and perhaps this is true in the rest of the world if you're watching. There was a reporter who had asked Ted Cruz to wear a mask as he was giving a press conference. His response was, "No, I've been immunized. If you feel uncomfortable, you can stand back." And
he's had both vaccines, right?
I believe so. But what was fascinating is that depending on where you went, this was like this clip, unadulterated, same start, same finish, was evidence reinforcing two different worldviews. And that's fascinating to me. Like that you come in with such, I think Astral Star Codex calls them trapped priors, which is all of the things that you've heard about coronavirus, understood about Ted Cruz, believe about kindness in the world, and how you should defer to discomfort or not defer to discomfort in a situation. Just lets people look at the same exact situation and come to, oh my gosh, this guy is a science-denying monster. We have the variant out, and COVID variant's going to kill everybody. And my take, which was more like, finally, like, this is why we're getting vaccinated.
Well, yeah, I'm confused. If Ted Cruz got the vaccine but can't give a press conference without wearing a mask, then that seems to mean we will wear masks forever. Because even if 100% of the population is immunized...
I could steelman it. There's variants, and
well, that's what I'm saying.
Just want to get over the finish line and have absolutely zero COVID cases before we take off our masks.
So wait, just hear me out. If there's variants and the vaccine doesn't help against them...
It's imperfect.
Then we will wear masks forever. If Ted Cruz has to wear a mask at a press conference.
I think the steelman is if we all lock ourselves, if we all locked ourselves in a room for 6 weeks and interacted via robots delivering food, COVID would die. Like, it would just be gone. And so let's get as close to that as possible. And then the other thing is, which I think is a constant question, at least in America, is how do you handle someone saying that what you're doing makes them uncomfortable, and in what circumstance?
What can we do? So I think this is I think there are two interesting things. Can we do a quick, like, what this behavior would look like if we actually did it? And then can we go to the...
Sure.
So because the thing with the vaccine is, okay, let's say that if you have the vaccine, there's a small chance you can still get COVID, and whatever that chance is. And so maybe Ted Cruz is putting some people's lives in jeopardy. Meaning
he could get it.
He could get it. Someone else could get it. That's also true of the flu. That's also true of driving a car. That's also true of a lot of things. And so my question is, we have all agreed that you can do things that might hurt other people. Otherwise, we should have been wearing masks since the day I was born, because the flu has always existed and the flu has always killed people. I know COVID is more contagious. I'm not trying to downplay it, but I'm saying
over the last 2 decades,
with the
flu has
vaccine,
killed more people than COVID has in 2020.
If the whole population is vaccinated, I thought the point was to get to a world that didn't have COVID restrictions, I guess, that's what I thought we were aiming at. And if the goal is make sure no one ever gets COVID again, then yeah, we should all be 6 feet apart forever while wearing masks forever.
Yeah.
And so to me, it seems like COVID has become something that is treated with a different thought experiment than everything else.
Yes.
Because you would never let someone bring their cell phone into their car. Because if you bring your cell phone into your car, there's a risk you text and drive. Yeah. And that increased risk, by the way, texting and driving leads to car accidents. So
the advantages can be completely discarded because we don't care about the advantages. What we care about is zero
lives lost.
Acceptable. Yes. 0 lives lost. We have to get this down. Yeah.
So yeah, it's just interesting that we don't apply this to we have like the loosest drunk driving policy of any country, I think.
Well, we've talked about this, that one of our biggest, where I don't know which side of the political aisle this lands on, problems with COVID is that it is consistently ripped out of context, in the sense of like 400,000 Americans dead. Is that a lot, a little, compared to what? Compared to previous years, compared to all causes deaths? If our goal is the reduction of suffering and the reduction of needless deaths, especially as it affects, I think that most of us would agree, if an 85-year-old loses 5 years of their life, that is not as much of a tragedy as if a 25-year-old loses 60 years of their life. Because, you have to pick one.
Well, my other thing is I think I think there should be an evolution of how one feels about COVID. So when it's first coming out and you don't know how dangerous it is and it seems like it's killing a lot of people, and so you have certain rules, that makes total sense. But then as more information comes out, I think that should change. And then as people get vaccinated,
but again,
I think that should change.
This is part of the problem is as more information comes out, right? Clearly, there's different information. And even the tenor, it could be the same information with a different tone, with a different contextual reference. 400,000 Americans are dead versus fewer Americans died of COVID than died of heart disease in 20. Those can both be true information.
Yeah, I guess I'm just confused and this can be the answer, but I'm confused at what the future looks like when we're all vaccinated or have all had COVID. Because if Ted Cruz is supposed to wear a mask, then and this can be the answer, we're just forever social distanced and forever wearing masks because this virus is out in the world?
Well, I think that there's a second thing, and I don't know what this particular reporter, I can't read their mind, but I did get the sense, this is me doing a take that is not based on concrete evidence, that there was a power dynamic at play, which is, can I make you do something? It would make us feel more comfortable. And I think that that's the second question. I don't know if you were ready to
let's
get
talk
to
about
it. That we've entered into a space where I think in American culture and perhaps in other areas of the West, where being uncomfortable is a position of power, because the understood meta ethic is that everyone needs to act to reduce discomfort, especially along certain axes. Like one of them might be with regards to with COVID. One of them is going to be with regards to jokes that you make in the workplace that were acceptable 50 years ago, that aren't, all those kinds of things.
But it is very specific. So, because for instance, if you say a joke that I find,
if you make a joke about Donald Trump in the workplace and I say, hey, that makes me uncomfortable, I voted for him. That is.
Oh yeah. No, I was even thinking, if let's say you say that you're made uncomfortable by a joke, and I should not make it again. That's like 2021 tends to be, defer to Charlie on this. But if you're making out with a guy and I say, hey, we're in public, can you not do that? It makes me uncomfortable. That would be frowned upon in 2021. Yeah. So it's actually not just about minimizing discomfort.
Yes. No, and I think that this is one of the inequalities of the liberal conservative divide, is that I guess the liberal worldview, or the left, or whatever it is, and I'm kind of formulating this in my mind as I go, so it might not be true, is we have these things that we believe to be true about the world, and our ethic is of reducing discomfort. And then the conservative worldview is we have these other things that we believe to be true about the world, but the ethic is not about reducing discomfort. Like, you're not hearing as much of a push.
We live in California. Maybe. I mean, you literally might just go to Arkansas and see two gay guys make out and then have a bunch of people freak out on them.
Yes, but that's not, I'm uncomfortable. Does that make sense? It's not like, hey, could you stop? This is making me uncomfortable. The ethic might be fit in. The ethic might be conform. It might be something else, but it's not reduce my discomfort because I'm hurt. Or at least that's not the way that it's expressed.
I don't know. I mean, I could imagine someone who's super conservative being made very uncomfortable by PDA from a gay couple and then demanding them to stop. That's something that I can imagine pretty easily.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess I can imagine it as well, and don't have enough.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think what happens is you defer to the culture you're in, so that when you're the conservative person in California, you don't have any power. Your discomfort does nothing. And actually, if you were to bring it up, I imagine that the people around you would turn on you if you were in public, right? And they would shame you. But then if you're in a red state and you were to do that, I think that the group around you might say, yeah, this guy's a good point. You guys should stop and get out of here. And I'm obviously, that's a little bit of oversimplification. Not everyone in certain places feels certain things, but I think it's the power goes to the people who believe what the majority of the people around them believe.
Interesting. So I'm formulating this as I go. Perhaps when you say, or that reporter says, for instance, it would make us all more comfortable, that is a bit of a covert way of having a duel of worldviews. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And what you're saying without saying it is COVID is dangerous and deadly, and the way that we need to deal with it is by all wearing masks.
Even if you're vaccinated.
Even if you're vaccinated.
Yep.
And the way that you simply stated is it would make me more comfortable.
Mhm.
And I guess that's probably true in all different areas of America. So that, yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing when you poo-poo PDA from same-sex couples. It's the same thing when you say that certain jokes or words can't be said.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's your way of saying this is
true, which kind of hides the naked fact that like these are two opposing worldviews that need evidence to be bolstered, and we can't necessarily inject all of that into this one interaction that's going to allow us to do it. So all that we say is that makes me uncomfortable. Yeah, this offends my view of the world.
Yeah. And so forgetting where geographically it's located, I can imagine that same conversation happening between two people that were in a room of 10 people. And one goes, hey, it makes me uncomfortable that you're not wearing a mask. Can you put your mask on? The other one goes, I've been vaccinated. It's the whole reason I got vaccinated. I'm not putting my mask on. Mm-hmm. If the other people in the room think that wearing a mask is important even if you're vaccinated, and they all say so, the person is going to basically be pressured into the fact that they're outnumbered.
And if they're a YouTuber, then they'll go on an apology tour and say that they're so sorry they should have recognized.
But if you put them in a room with 10 people who all turn on the person that made the request and said, that's stupid, I'm wearing a mask because I'm not vaccinated, but this person shouldn't because they are vaccinated, then that person will shrink in most cases because they're outnumbered 10 to 1.
Yeah.
So I think it's completely based on what the people around you side with.
Yeah. Yep. Which is,
and no one changes their mind, by the way. In both cases, they leave thinking the same thing. They're just going to alter their behavior temporarily to fit in.
I had a similar. So David Dobrik is in hot water now. The short story is that somebody that is in his vlog squad, which is the actors, or I guess they were friends. They weren't acting when he did his vlogs, is accused of having raped a girl when they were filming a vlog, and David was in the house, and he contributed.
Well, they weren't filming the rape, just to be clear.
No. He was. They were like contributing to an environment. I don't honestly exactly understand the criticism of David, but it's that he contributed to an environment that allowed for that or made jokes about it. Now,
no, he didn't make jokes. I think what they're saying is that he.
No, he did. Afterwards, he was like, he had a 4 out of 5. He negotiated it. Like, it was. My perspective of David's like, one, I'm not sure what happened in that room, but assuming that it was rape, David clearly didn't think so. You know what I mean? Like, anytime that somebody's cracking a joke, or not anytime, most of the time that somebody's cracking a horrible joke about, like, whether it's rape or dead babies or whatever, it's because they don't think that thing is a real, literal, hovering, looming threat. So that was, I do think that there was just a lot of heat on him from a lot of different angles, and this is one that really got him taken down. But what I found was interesting is you said, like, there's this room effect of everybody saying it. Mm-hmm. So he was accused, the girl says that essentially she was too drunk to consent, and that's why that happened, that she didn't, I don't believe her claim is that she had said, no, it was that I was too drunk, I was passing out, I was falling asleep, and could not possibly have consented. What's interesting is that David went from, okay, where I sit, which is like, I don't know you, I don't know the guy that you accused, let's take all accusations seriously and investigate, and I support the investigation of this, like, take it very seriously, which is where I would sit in something like this too. I believe her. I 100% believe her. And the reason that he, in my opinion, went from, I'm going to sit and see where this lands to I 100% believe her is because the room around him went, you bad, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad, which I thought was interesting because to me, with any claim of theft, murder, rape, embezzlement, whatever, it's like, the response should be, let's take this seriously and investigate. And his response is, I believe the accuser, which I think is dangerous in any sort of thing. Not to say that she's wrong. She might be 100% right, and I would treat it seriously were I the cops or anybody else. But it's just interesting that he that he had to immediately go, and so did all of his friends who had initially defended themselves or defended the crew or said I wasn't involved. They all then had to go so hard to I believe her, which I think is just indicative of the effect that you were talking about, which is when everyone around you says that you're wrong, all of a sudden it's not about getting to the truth of whether COVID is dangerous or not. It's about conforming to the social pressures that you feel on you. And I think that that's a continuing problem of the social media mob. Is that, I guess it's true in the world as well. It's not unique to social media.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about the David Dobrik situation. So without talking about that specifically, if you just zoom out, we've talked about this before.
Hope that you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to see more like this and have us do more podcasts, we are 100% funded by our generous patrons. And if you'd like to contribute, there's a link in the description, and we'll have one pop up on the screen right here so that we can do more podcasts where we have fun conversations and hopefully some deep ones like this. Either way, hope that you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.